everyone. Welcome to another Nerdthusiast Podcast. My name is Ed. I'm here with my good friend and co-host, Frank DeRay.
Hey, everybody.
Frank, how you doing today, my friend?
Good. Awesome.
Yes? You survived the long walk over from across the state to come do this today?
That was a few steps. It was about 25 or so I'm good. I caught my breath. We're good.
It's a little windy out there.
A little bit.
I appreciate everyone watching today. We are continuing our artist series for our music podcast where we interview local musicians and talk to them about their music. We are joined by the band members in the Underground Rainbows here today. We are really happy to have you. Eamon, TJ, Nick, how are you guys this evening?
Awesome. Doing great, man. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Great to have you on board, guys. Thanks again for taking the time.
Yeah, really appreciate it. And I appreciate you accommodating the schedule too. I know it's a little bit late, but when you have a 4-year-old who doesn't like to sleep, you gotta pretend you're leaving the house, and so he's upstairs with mom right now. So, and I know you have plenty of kids of your own, Eamon. So you're no stranger to that. I know you got some pickups to do for hockey tonight, right?
Yeah, so exactly right. I have 4 boys, and 3 of them play hockey, and they're
awesome.
We're all over the place all the time. And TJ, you have your daughter?
Yeah, I got a little girl.
Excellent.
Evie.
Awesome.
Shout out to her. She's awesome. She's going to be 14 on Saturday, and she's going to play in Hellertown, Pennsylvania, Saucon Valley School. Check her out. She's a dancer in the play 13. Right. I don't know how much of a crossover that is.
Hey, on Nerdthusiast Podcast, we'll talk about anything. Keep everybody happy.
Yeah,
all good.
Yeah, we've interviewed people who play video games professionally. We got music. We got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll do anything.
Nice.
Yeah, but hey, let's get into it. I know we don't have too much time tonight, but first question I always like to ask is, how did the band get started? Where does the name Underground Rainbows come from? Eamon, I think you said that it was your project that you had originally started. So how does the story go?
So in 2018, I have mutual friends of ours. They were getting married, and they had asked me to perform at their wedding. And, I was super honored. I've been a musician for a long time, and, that was established with us. But I kind of wanted to think outside of like my personal box. I grew up listening to like punk rock and jam bands and things of that nature. But I decided I was going to record like techno dance music to play at this wedding, to have like pre-recorded and kind of throw down like DJ style. Mm-hmm. So I recorded a couple tracks, and I had so much fun doing it that everything kind of just kept pouring into it. And I put out an album in 2018 called Eamon's Clone Presents The Underground Rainbows. So it was all just kind of like avant-garde dance music that I made. So some of the tracks were for the wedding that were actually performed there. And then the rest kind of filtered in over
all by yourself. That was just by yourself. Okay.
So I used just like MIDI drums. And just like synthesizer stuff that like I had on my iPad, and just kind of went to town on that. And I would add guitar through just through like a different interface into my iPad. Okay. I recorded everything through GarageBand.
Very cool. And how'd these guys link up with you? Are you guys been friends for a while, or
fast forward a while? Like I was putting out the Underground Rainbows. At first it was just that, it's going to be my little outlet for dance music, but it kind of over time it became just everything I was writing kind of went into it, became the Underground Rainbows. So I spanned a lot of different genres musically, and eventually, added more vocals and more kind of like rock melodies, and the songs definitely grew and evolved over time. So fast forward to 2023, I had recently met up with TJ at another gathering, and we talked about how we wanted to play music again, because TJ and I were in a former band called Wandering Root that we played around Pennsylvania and New Jersey back in like the late 2000s, early 2010s. So TJ and I linked up, and our friend Luke that he's another guitar player. He was playing with us. And then we were just like, we just need this drummer. And like, I told my friend he has a barn that is kind of like where we all gather as like, it's like the local musicians meeting every month. We kind of go to my friend Brad's barn. And I was telling Brad, there was a performance going on inside his barn. Like a bunch of like our friends' bands were playing, just kind of, and I was like, man, I really need a kick-ass drummer. And he kind of just looked at me and shrugged his shoulders, and he's just like, don't we all? Like all the drummers we know are already in 3 bands. And,
that's how it goes with drummers.
And then literally like 2 months later, hanging in the same exact spot, where we're jamming, and Nick comes walking into the barn with a case of beer, and he's just like, hi, I'm Nick. I just moved in. I'm a drummer. I heard the music. Is this, do you guys know
sold. Beer, drummer, you're in.
I scooped him up immediately, and that's how Nick joined the band.
Excellent.
And so we've been playing together since 2023.
I'm right down the block from Brad, so
there you go.
From the barn.
I just moved in, and I was like, that was the one thing I was paranoid about too, is like finding musicians. I'm only an hour away. I lived on Staten Island, but moving an hour away, friends are lazy. So I was like, that's the one thing I was paranoid about, is meeting musicians. And as the first day I'm like ripping up rugs and stuff like that, I hear loud music. I'm like, I just lit up. I was like, oh, great. So he's like, I brought in the beer. Like, hey, if the cops are ever called, it's never me. If it's called, it's because it's too low and I can't hear you. So that got some laughs, and we just hit it off.
That's great. That's great. Now, I know we're going to be listening to a song that you guys recorded at your practice tonight, Believe in the Barn. Is that where that all stems from, that barn?
Sure.
that you, okay, cool.
For sure. That's kind of like our homage to the...
There you go. That's nice.
For the barn.
So you got the backstory. We got the backstory for the fans. TJ, what do you do in the band? What's
I'm a
your
bass
role?
player, so I only have to play one note at a time, which is always fortunate for the lazy instrument versions, which I'm there. So, I've been doing that. We write a little bit. We play some music. We write together. I write some music. I sing as well.
Okay.
And it's been a great journey. It's been phenomenal. These two both are just, you talk about Eamon signing up and all the guy he just absorbs and just regurgitates as much music as, not even regurgitates is the wrong word, but he just pumps out as much music as possible. I'm very, very admirable, just admiring of how much music he just writes. He's like, I wrote this note. I'm like, geez, dude. I'm like, kind of like Lennon was, not that I'm, John Lennon or McCartney or anything, but like Lennon was like, dude, this dude's writing about McCartney. He's like, I was writing 10 songs every, and I got to write only one. So it's the same thing. Eamon he's just such a methodical songwriter, and they're good. That's it's a lot of fun to play with. And this gentleman all the way to my left is Nick, and he is just a beast. I mean, there's very few drummers that he has it. You can't even pinpoint it, but just technically he's proficient, and he has such a great mind for music. Like, hey, he comes up with these crazy drum patterns that you wouldn't even think of, and he comes up with them right on the spot. I go, how about this? And you can literally build a song, and not all the time you can build a song off of a drum.
Drums, for sure.
And this guy does it. So just in terms of creative, these two are just, I'm honored to be in a band with them. And,
That's awesome.
Honestly, I feel like I'm just there for the ride, and maybe
listen, bands.
It's a nice, unique sound when we like mesh together.
Yeah, and listen, there has to be chemistry. I'm a former DJ, whereas Ed's more of a musician and plays a lot. But I'll take it from the perspective of playing on a lot of teams. You need that chemistry. You know, we'll talk about hockey since your sons play hockey. When you're playing on the line, you need that chemistry. You guys need to kind of know where you are
for sure.
on the rink, as similar to, in a band, knowing where you are in a song. I'm sure after kind of, collaborating on stuff and learning from each other. And like I said, being on the same page. So I'm sure that's a huge piece.
Yeah. And it's just so much fun because, like we get that. And I think, as a trio, like I think we communicate very well with each other. And like, I think we have very open minds with like ideas for songs. And Like some of the songs that are older, as opposed to like the newer ones, we'll be playing them. And it's like, hey, what if, TJ will start just doing some like different things. Like, hey, what if we start, add this part to this part, and change it, even
And
though
try
it's
it, yeah.
the way we played it the last like 40 times, and then, and
Yeah.
then it's like, oh wow, that really works. So
Add a wrinkle, and if it doesn't work, okay, so what?
Mhm.
You try something, and a lot of times you might be pleasantly surprised, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of the moments that we've actually taken a song that was needed to be molded quite a bit, needed to be watered, needed to be given the love, and we did it. We came up with some really great things. And there's also, because we typically, Eamon and I typically have a song already written. We're ready to go, bring it to the band. My favorite times of being in any band is when we take something that's maybe an idea, and they actually wrote, when I was on hiatus, they actually wrote a really awesome little quick progressive song that I'm hoping to release, that we release. And that's my favorite part about being in this band. It is that creative process through it all. And it's funny because if we got together more, because we get together once a week, and it's time is so limited with everything we all got going on. And so I can't wait till when we can really start focusing and we can get together.
Put the time in,
I
yeah.
think we're going to really, because we're
Get the ball rolling.
we're great. I mean, I'm excited where we are now, and I can just see once we get a little more consistency in terms of what we're putting out and what we can actually play out and all these other things.
Yeah, I didn't realize you guys had just kind of started. And I listened to a little bit of your music,
Mhm.
and the first words out of my mind were kind of punk,
You have a little bit of everything.
yeah, kind of
You even
punk,
mentioned
but a
new wave,
kind of
that
new
feel
wavy punk to it. Yeah, I mean, I
there's a-
grew up in the '80s, so that was
You hear a little bit of that,
was
yeah.
kind of a flashback on that style.
Mhm.
Kind of a mixed style, just in my mind, just listening real briefly to a couple of those tunes. But
Awesome.
all good stuff.
I love new wave, and I love 80s music. Like probably my personal favorite band coming out of the 80s is probably NXS.
Yeah, I'm a huge NXS fan. I mean,
I got to see them in
for sure.
concert with my uncle when I was like 8 years old. It was awesome, but like, my uncle Gavin, my uncle Carrie, my aunt Carolyn, they took me to my first concert. I saw the Moody Blues, so like my parents listened to the Moody Blues.
that's a little shift in the music style there.
Yeah.
Moody Blues.
So it's like I grew up, with access to like my uncle Gavin's like record collection. Like I used to make my own mixtapes, and like he would show me.
Nice,
nice.
Yep.
So it's nice to get that appreciation at an early age. I know Ed with his son, same thing, with listening to music, but
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. I mean, I remember when I first started DJing, I was like 16 years old, and I heard somebody mix 2 records. I went, oh my God, this is so cool. I went and borrowed somebody else's turntable. I bought a $25 mixer and started goofing around, and you learned and you tried things, but it was cool. And then you went out to see other people and you learned from other people. And like I said, a lot of trial and error in my bedroom, and, just mixing it. And it was cool to learn. I mean, and I've never played an instrument, but I really appreciate the people that have the talent to play instruments and sing as well. I mean,
Do you want to play an instrument?
I can play the radio. I mean, that's my instrument. So,
too.
my wife actually years ago, because I always wanted to play the piano. And she actually bought me a lesson that I never took many years ago, and I still get reminded that I didn't take it. But that would be my instrument of choice if I ever played.
We got keyboards,
and Ed's got keyboards here, so yeah. So Ed's going to teach me once his son grows up. When he has some free time, he's going to show me.
Yeah.
I'd love to learn. I think it's I love all the instruments, but I mean, that would be what I would like to learn myself if I had a choice.
The whole world. I'm not good at it, but I'm good enough to where you can see how the whole world opens up to you right in front of you.
Yeah. No, for sure.
The keys they are bad. Just start banging on it, man. Just start doing it every day.
And listen, it's like anything else. Like I said, you trial and error. That's how I learned to DJ back in the day. So, and I still have my stuff, and I still goof around and play around. So, but you try things, and sometimes it's like, and other times it's like, wow, that really came out pretty good.
It's like anything. You just need repetition and practice and time with it, and it's like anything. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I'm mostly a self-taught musician.
Same.
and just spending time with the instrument and trial and error. Just, okay, this sounds good, this doesn't. Now it's so easy because you can go online and look up chords and tabs and playthroughs on YouTube. You don't even need to really think too much about it. It's not like you have to figure it all out by ear anymore. So it's, it's a lot easier to do it now, but I think it's now at this point in life, as you guys know, it's just hard to find the time to actually dedicate to it. So, if, in the younger years, if we had all these resources, it would have been great.
Well, my question that I always like asking the bands is, who, maybe it's a canned question, but influence for music wise, maybe either professionally or non-professionally, like family members or people you knew. But definitely I like hearing, because a lot of times it doesn't always match up necessarily with the type of music.
Wild cards.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of times you hear, we've talked to people who are in one genre, and ironically enough, their inspiration has been from a combination of other genres and maybe some of that. So curious, and I think this is probably more of an individual thing. So if you guys want to take it individually,
you go first. No, you go first, Nick.
No pressure.
I guess like drummer wise, I would probably say Keith Moon
from The Who. Okay.
Cliche, and Jojo Mayer, Gene Krupa.
I
like them because they put on a show. They didn't just get that, like I try to do stick flips, especially once I like know exactly what I want to play and stuff. Try to like put on a show. Anybody could just get on stage and like just play the instruments, but like you got to put on a show. That's what made me do the stick flips and stuff. Avenged Sevenfold, my friend showed me their drummer, the Rev, and he did it in a music video. He was like, "Hey, you should start doing that." So I was like, nice. All right. So I did that. And when I was in Staten Island, I was in a lot of cover bands. So I made a deal with everybody when they came to like the bar or whatever we were playing. I was like, if you bring a costume, I'll wear it. So I had a ninja costume, a chicken outfit, like
you did the gamut.
So random.
Nice.
We should reinstate that.
All right, but my other piece of that is not just the the music part, but what kind of music did you listen to as well, or what kind of bands? Not just like idolizing or following a drummer. What kind of music did you really like growing up?
Growing up, believe it or not, I was kind of like a preppy kid. Like I just listened to whatever like was pop and like mainstream.
All right, so you're more into pop mainstream stuff. Okay.
I kind of started drums pretty late. I started at 18. So like Rock Band came out, and that's how I like proved to my dad, like, hey, I'm an expert in only a matter of like, and then my uncle was there. He's like, buy to get a freaking drum set. So I'm like,
there you go.
The next week, my dad surprised me, and then I just got to it. My neighbors hated me the first year, but after that,
there you go. Tell them to give them some good tickets when they come to see you. That's all.
Yeah.
And as far as bands go, believe it or not, I'm actually an emo guy. I like Census Fail, Silverstein. A lot of pop punk. So Blink-182 is like the godfather for me.
Okay.
4 Years Strong. So I think that's where
I just saw them recently, actually.
Oh, nice.
They play with Day to Remember. I saw them at Atlantic City
as well. They're pretty dope too.
Yeah.
But mostly pop punk alternative. But I mean, my dad listened to a lot of funk, so.
I'm a huge funk guy. Yeah.
Just having that pocket, just like you can't, you like, I'll listen to it while I'm like sweeping the floor at my job. And it's just like, all right, I can't help but to smile and just be in a good mood. Like just happy, feel good music,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess that's where we like, especially me and Aim, like with the punk, like that's where we hit it hard.
Great.
TJ?
Yeah, TJ.
Yes. I was fortunate. I grew up in a family that was very musically inclined. Like every holiday or every time we had to get together, and when my parents were partying when I was growing up, when I was early in my day, they had people over every Saturday night, and there was always a guitar going on in the background, everyone's singing. Nice. So that was a big part of it. As I got older, I actually really, as a musician, my biggest influences, because there's music I love that doesn't necessarily influence me as a musician. Like I'm a big Billy Joel fan. I don't know how much.
Okay.
But Rush, Geddy Lee,
Sure.
I didn't realize how much I play. Like, I'm not as good as Getty, probably, God forbid, but I do a lot of the stylings that he does. There's a band called the String Cheese Incident. I also I think I take a lot from. And then, of course, again, classic rock. I'm growing up in the 80s as well. Talking Heads a little bit, but
Nice.
Definitely, bands like, like I said, Billy Joel, there's Rush, but there's also, I love Springsteen being from New Jersey. So I love the singer-songwriter vibe, but then I got into Rush, and then I'm like, okay, now where are the time changes, and where are the, and then you get all snobby for like 2 years, and then you become a hippie, and you get into the Grateful Dead, and then you're not, then you're just running away from, whatever, and then you all kind of comes together. So that's kind of where those are basically it. But my family's a big part of it, and then the bands I mentioned, and many, many more.
Yeah, but that's good. You have a nice little eclectic mix there.
And I also love Wu-Tang Clan. If you guys want to see
Wu-Tang, sure.
Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh, there you go.
There it is.
And who cannot bring up Pink Floyd? I totally forgot about that.
He's got the rainbow going through the Wu-Tang.
I'm another group I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah, absolutely.
And actually, my son is a huge fan, which turned me back onto it, as he was growing up. And one day, this had to be maybe a handful of years ago, my wife had texted us both during the day and said, hey, a girl I work with has a couple extra tickets to go see Roger Waters in Philadelphia. And Roger Waters was, I think, 74 at the time, maybe. This was, like I said, maybe a handful of years ago. Mm-hmm. So my son instantly is like, yes. So I said, hey, Justin, he has a bunch of Pink Floyd, the vintage T-shirts, right? And I said, give your dad a T-shirt that I can fit in, and I'll wear the shirts and go to the concert. So we go there. And on a whim, I know a guy who's a ticket guy who I grew up with. I was like, let me text him. Maybe he's here. Who knows? I text him. He said, yeah, I'm here. He goes, after such and such a song, he's going to take a break. Meet me behind a certain, section. I'll hook you guys up. So I don't tell my son. And after one song comes on, I said, come on, let's take a walk. He goes, well, and he goes, nah, let's take a walk. So we walk back, meet up with my friend. And he goes, hey, follow me. So my son looks at me. I go, yeah, follow him. So he goes, introduces us to one of the usher guys. He goes, this is John. He goes, John, take care of them for me. No problem. My son again turns around. I go, follow John, right? So we go down literally 6-7 rows right alongside the stage. And my son turned to me. He's like, Dad. I go, hey, it always pays to be nice to people and treat them well. And you never know. And he appreciated it because I'll tell you what, for 74, he was amazing.
There you go.
I'm not a fan when they do all the political stuff in the shows because I think that should be separate if they want to do that, just my opinion. But he was amazing on the stage, and the show was phenomenal. I was blown away.
It's funny. I have a similar story. It's not nearly as good. It's not nearly as like
we'll let the fans determine that. Go ahead.
My wife and I, and it's, I don't want to get too much in it because we're talking about the band and we got to go. But my wife and I, we saw him. It was a different tour. It was a little earlier. It was 2017, Newark, New Jersey. Of course.
Okay. Yep.
Grandest place of all. Anyway, we're down. We had a couple, whatever, and we're walking downstairs, and we hear one of the ushers say, "$20 will get you down to 100. $20." So I slip him a 20, because we were in the nosebleed section, and we get down to 100, and I'm like, what is he going to do? Rat us out if we go down to the floor? And so we snuck on down the floor in the whole second set, similar to you. We were on the floor for the whole second set, but it's because we bribed the guy.
Yeah, hey, whatever works, you got to get down.
But it was funny. We had your story's
a great concert.
There you go.
Awesome, for sure.
It was worth it.
All right, Amy, you're up.
So I've grown up listening to all kinds of stuff. Like I come from a musical family. My dad played guitar for my two sisters and I, like at bedtime every night, like when we were growing up. And his dad was a guitar player. He passed away before I was born, but so my dad taught my sisters and I how to play guitar. So we all kind of learned from him. But then I've been playing the guitar since since I was 7, like for real, since I was like
wow.
10. So I've gotten to play with like a lot of really cool people and friends, and all over the years. But as far as bands, growing, like, I don't know, like I by the time I was like 12, 13, I was like really into like thrash metal. Like this is like in the early
Oh, wow.
90s.
Okay.
So like bands like Megadeth, like Dave Mustaine, Marty Friedman, when like they're kind of doing guitar solos were happening, that just made my mind explode.
See, all you guys fell right into. I said
Exactly what you said.
Exactly what I said, man. That was perfect. Like it was almost planned. I said a lot of times that the background is not necessarily what you end up playing, but it's cool because I mean that's the beauty of music.
But that's why you form a band, because as you start writing music together, all those little pieces of all the influences that you've had growing up listening to different music, it all comes together.
It does blend for sure.
It blends together, and like you don't realize it at the as you're doing it, but that's what happens. That's why all these different ideas are
and a couple of podcasts that we did, I even said to people, I said, look, you don't have to put yourself in a box either. Like I'm not saying, hey, you got to define your music. It's like it is what it is, and people can kind of do what they want with it, and that's the beauty of music. You don't have to be. What's that?
I said music is like a language. The more accents the better.
Absolutely. No, and I think that's one of the cool things about music that separates it from any other kind of entertainment. That's just my personal opinion on it.
But I grew, but like from Megadeth, I kind of grew like as the '90s went on. Like I love Nirvana, so when Kurt Cobain died, that greatly affected me. I was 14 at that point.
Okay.
So like all those '90s bands like I listen to, but I love Beck.
Sure.
But I also love punk rock. So like we were listening to like my cousin Jimmy. He's a skateboarder. Like we'd be listening to like NoFX and Bad Religion and like skate punk bands. And one of my favorite bands was a band called Hum they're from Illinois, but their big song was Stars back
in the 90s group. Yep.
They were amazing, and I was fortunate to see them a couple times.
Nice.
But so I went to college and I met my boy Achel and my friend Melissa, and they were like, here, listen to this band Fish. Listen to Fish. And my buddy John from back home, like he already tried to introduce me to Fish, and I was like, it's kind of weird. They're not heavy enough, But then like, I don't know, I had a different perspective then, and like I kind of Trey Anastasio from Fish is my favorite guitar player of all time.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool.
I've seen so many Fish shows, and I've seen him do so many crazy things. Like that's total end of the spectrum from like the heavy metal. You got the hippies on this side.
Yeah.
So I ride that fence. I'm like a punk rock hippie that I love music. I like good music.
You're not in a box, and that's okay. Like I said, I think the better groups to I like the combination of influences. I think that's great.
Yeah. So I know we're getting close to the time we have to wrap up.
I'm so sorry, man.
No, that's just we can always do another round. We can always come back and do this again. What does the new music look like? Do you have gigs coming up? Anything? I know you had mentioned you might have something releasing soon.
Feel free to promote.
Yeah, promote.
We
where
want
can
you
we
to
find
promote.
your music? I know it's on Apple Music. I know you have some stuff on YouTube. Where else?
So yeah, we're kind of like in this like recording purgatory right now at the moment. we're kind of getting everything like resituated, but we have tracks recorded for like 8 different songs right now. Some of them like I wrote, and some TJ wrote, and some that we wrote together, and it's like it's really cool. So we're in the process of trying to put down like all the final versions. Like we're working with our friend JC, right? That we're probably going to be recording with him as far as like doing the tracking and like
okay
the end of it.
Very cool.
So we're kind of figuring that out. Like a lot of the early stuff, like the Underground Rainbows that are released, like I was doing a lot of the drums just using like my own MIDI technique and then putting all the instruments on myself. So with this is going to be like an actual like organic, TJ playing bass and Nick on the drums. And so it's not just my music, like it's our music, which was something I always like kind of envisioned in the first place when I started the Underground Rainbows. That's why I made it plural. But
Nice.
so
Yeah. The recording process, I always found, especially if you go into a studio, it's just such a great environment to be in, and it's such a fun process. It can be extremely frustrating trying to get takes right, and you make a mistake, you got to keep redoing things. But it's what better place to be than just in a place recording music that you wrote. So best of luck with that, and I hope I hope you guys enjoy that. And maybe after you have those 8 songs finished up, you get an album or EP, whatever they're calling it these days, for how many tracks you have. You can come back. We can talk about it a little bit and just go over the album, something like that.
That would be amazing, man. I appreciate that.
Cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it. Again, thanks for accommodating the schedule. I'm glad we were able to do this after talking for a little bit.
I do want to give a quick shout out to my boy,
please. Yeah, go ahead.
My boy Luke Jarmus. He's my friend that I went to high school with, that I grew up and listened to all kinds of music with. But he's the one who introduced me to you, Ed. So I want to give my boy Luke a big shout. He has Go Lantern. So it's Go Lantern Inc.
Okay.
Now he does all kinds of like PR and marketing, and he's been working with me for Underground Rainbows, helping me put some posts out. He was very inspirational to this little skit that we did last year, like our Underground Rainbows season 2. Like we had some characters going on, and we're going to be coming back on YouTube doing some more.
Yeah, I see him following a lot of the Nerdthusiast stuff, so I'm familiar with the Go Lantern name.
Yeah, that's my buddy Luke.
Excellent.
And he's the man.
Excellent. Well, I'll double what Ed said. Appreciate having you guys on. Thanks for taking the time. We really enjoyed it. It's always good to learn about, and like I said, I didn't know you guys were a newer-ish group, which is awesome. I think it's the fresh part at the beginning is nice, and learning and adjusting and growing together. And like he said, wish you guys all the best of luck. Get that music out. We'll get you back on. We'll do another one real soon and go from there.
Thanks a lot, Frank.
Awesome.
All right. Take care,
Thanks
again, guys. Take care.
Thanks everyone for watching and listening.
See you soon.
Take care.
Have a good night.